Hello everyone. Hello dear students and respected staff of Symbiosis International University. Today myself, Dr. Bhosle SB, Professor, Department of Community Medicine, Symbiosis Medical College for Women, Lavale, Pune, going to talk on vaccination for COVID-19. Before that, let's have some idea regarding coronavirus, COVID-19 disease causes, risk factors, complication and prevention. Coronaviruses. Coronaviruses are family of viruses that can cause illness such as common cold, severe acute respiratory syndrome, Middle East respiratory syndrome. In 2019, a new coronavirus was identified as the cause of a disease outbreak that originated in China. The virus is now known as the severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2, that is SARS-CoV-2. The disease it causes is called as coronavirus disease 2019, that is COVID-19. In March 2020, the World Health Organization WHO declared that the COVID-19 outbreak is a pandemic. Coronaviruses are responsible for public health problems. Public health groups including the US Center for Disease Control and Prevention, that is CDC, and WHO are monitoring the pandemic and posting updates on their websites. The groups have also issued recommendations for preventing and treating the illness. Let's see the causes of COVID-19. Infection with new coronavirus, that is severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2, causes coronavirus disease 2019. The viruses that causes COVID-19 spreads easily among the people, and more continues to be discovered over time about how it spreads. Then we will see the risk factors. Risk factors for COVID-19 appear to include close contact within 6 feet or 2 meters with someone who has COVID-19, being coughed or sneezed on by an infected person. If you have chronic medical condition and may have a higher risk of serious illness, check with your doctor about other ways to protect yourself. Now we will see the complications. Although most people with COVID-19 have mild to moderate symptoms, the disease can cause severe medical complications and lead to death in some people. Older adults, people with existing medical conditions are at greater risk of becoming seriously ill with COVID-19. Complications can include pneumonia and trouble breathing, organ failure in several organs, heart problems, severe lung conditions that causes a low amount of oxygen to go through your bloodstream to your organs, blood clots, acute kidney injury, additional viral and bacterial infections. Now we will see the prevention part. The US Food and Drug Administration FDA has given emergency use authorization to some COVID-19 vaccines in the US. A vaccine can prevent you from getting the COVID-19 virus or prevent you from becoming seriously ill if you get the COVID-19 virus. Also, if you are fully vaccinated, you can return to many activities you may not have been able to do because of the pandemic, including not wearing masks or social distancing except where you required by a rule or law. If you haven't had the COVID-19 vaccine, you can take many steps to reduce your risk of infection. WHO and CDC recommend following these precautions for avoiding exposure to the virus that causes COVID-19. Avoid close contact with anyone who is sick or has symptoms. Keep distance between yourself and others at least about 6 feet or 2 meters. This is especially important if you have higher risk of serious illness. Keep in mind, some people may have COVID-19 and spread it to others, even if they don't have symptoms or don't know they have COVID-19. Avoid crowds, indoor places that have poor ventilation. Wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, or use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. Wear a face mask indoor public places and outdoors where there is a high risk of COVID-19 transmission, such as at a crowded event or large gathering. Further, mask guidance differs depending on whether you are fully vaccinated or unvaccinated. Surgical masks may be used if available. N95 respirators should be reserved for healthcare providers. Cover your mouth and nose with your elbow or a tissue when you cough or sneeze. Throw away the used tissue. Wash your hands right away. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, mouth. Avoid sharing dishes, glasses, towels, beddings and other household items if you are sick. Clean and disinfect high-touch surfaces such as doorknobs, light switches, electronic and counters daily. Stay home from work, school, public areas if you are sick, unless you are going to get medical care. Avoid public transportation, taxis and ride sharing if you are sick. Now, we will see when to see a doctor. If you have COVID-19 signs symptoms, you have been in contact with someone diagnosed with COVID-19, you should contact your doctor or clinic right away for medical advice. Tell your healthcare team about your symptoms and possible exposure before you go to your appointment. If you have emergency COVID-19 signs and symptoms, seek care immediately. Emergency signs and symptoms can include trouble breathing, persistent chest pain or pressure, inability to stay awake, new confusion, pale gray or blue color skin, lips or nail beds, depending on skin tone. Now, we will see the different vaccines available. First one, Moderna COVID-19 vaccine and safety. The Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine, Pfizer Biotech COVID-19 vaccine, Johnson Johnson COVID-19 vaccine, the Sinovac COVID-19 vaccine. Let us have some information regarding vaccines.
First came the virus that had never been seen before, and that spread faster than we could ever imagine. Now we hear there's a safe and effective way to stop it. Vaccines that will protect millions from COVID-19. But can we really know they're safe after less than a year of testing? COVID-19 vaccines may be new, but vaccines are not. We've been using vaccines to protect against infectious diseases for over a century. 2 COVID vaccines are the first authorized vaccines ever to use a new technology, but even that technology, called messenger RNA, has been tested and studied by vaccine researchers for decades. We've learned how to make vaccines better and safer, and we've applied all that knowledge to COVID-19 vaccines. We also had a head start on COVID vaccines thanks to studies the National Institutes of Health had done. Scientists there actually created a vaccine that could be custom-made to fight different strains of coronavirus, like the virus that causes COVID. Using these studies, they were able to make a COVID-19 test vaccine just over a month after the disease was first reported. All vaccines have to be thoroughly tested before they can be marketed. During clinical trials, scientists measure and compare data on volunteers who receive a vaccine to those who receive a placebo, like an injection of saline. Most early clinical trials involve fewer than 3,000 volunteers, so it can take a year or more to get the data needed to measure how well vaccines work. Early clinical trials for COVID vaccines enrolled at least 30,000 volunteers each, so data on safety and performance were collected and analyzed in under 4 months. Vaccines are usually developed one step at a time, and companies wait until they have final approval to start manufacturing them. But addressing this pandemic couldn't wait. So government and industry invested millions of dollars to produce vaccines at the same time their test data was under review. This meant health departments and clinics started getting vaccine shipments a few days after the Food and Drug Administration's rigorous standards for safety were met and the vaccines were authorized for public use. Thanks to extraordinary advances, science, industry, and dozens of government agencies have been able to work together to produce and deliver safe and effective COVID-19 vaccines in record time. Decades of experience and innovation led to this achievement, one that can keep you, your family, and your community safe from a serious and dangerous disease. Learn more, cdc.gov/coronavirus. We can do this.
Vaccines, a safe and effective vaccine is being made available for protection against COVID-19. All potential beneficiaries need to register on CoWIN site, government site is there. 2 doses of vaccine need to be taken by an individual to complete the vaccination schedule. COVID-19 vaccine, a safe and effective vaccine being made available for protection against COVID-19. Prioritize groups for phase 1 for COVID-19 vaccination. First group, that is healthcare workers, frontline workers, then population above age of 45 years, population with associated comorbidities such as hypertension, diabetes, HIV, cancer, cardiovascular diseases and chronic diseases. Information on COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccine has gone through various trials and is safe. There are strict protections in place to help ensure the safety of all COVID-19 vaccines. Before receiving validation from WHO and national regulatory agencies, COVID-19 vaccines must undergo rigorous testing in clinical trials to prove that they meet internationally agreed benchmarks for safety and effectiveness. Who should be excluded from receiving COVID-19 vaccines? If you have history of severe allergic reactions to any ingredients of COVID-19 vaccine, if you are currently sick or experiencing symptoms of COVID-19. In addition to the general recommendations above, each vaccine may have specific consideration for a specific population and health conditions. Pregnant women, breastfeeding women, those pregnant women at high risk of exposure to SARS-CoV-2, example health workers, or who have comorbidities which add their risk of severe disease may be vaccinated in consultation with their healthcare providers. To determine the best course of action, the developmental and health benefits of breastfeeding should be considered along with the mother's clinical need for immunization against COVID-19. WHO does not recommend discontinuing breastfeeding after vaccination. Now, we will see the COVID appropriate behavior. that is called as CAB. COVID-19 vaccine along with CAB are weapons against the COVID-19 infection. COVID-19 appropriate behavior, CAB. Let's see what is it. COVID-19 vaccines along with CAB, as already told, weapons against COVID-19 infection. So, we have to follow these things in day-to-day life to protect ourselves from COVID-19 infection. Maintain physical distance of 6 feet from others. Wear reusable face cover or mask. No mask, no entry. No mask, no service campaign should be started to create awareness among the public regarding COVID-19. Avoid touching the eyes, nose, mouth. Maintain respiratory hygiene. Wash your hands frequently, thoroughly with soap and water. Use hand sanitizers after touching, handling anything. Do not chew tobacco, khaini, etc. or spit in the public places. Regularly clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces. Avoid unnecessary travel. Do not discriminate against anyone. Discourage crowd. Encourage safety. Do not circulate social media posts which carry unverified or negative information. Seek information on COVID-19 from credible sources, or you can call on helpline numbers. Seek psychosocial support for any stress or anxiety. Now, we will see how to monitor and report COVID-19 side effects.
When a virus enters the body fights back. Common symptoms like a fever or chills are the result of our immune system attacking the virus by increasing blood flow and raising our temperature. Vaccines are designed to activate the immune system in the same way, but without making us sick. While it's normal to build immunity without side effects, it's also normal for some people to experience mild to moderate symptoms after being vaccinated, like pain at the injection site, fever, and chills. These side effects usually last a few days and go away on their own. Vaccines help protect us against disease, and feeling mild or moderate side effects after receiving one is a sign that the vaccine and our immune system is working.
Health workers play a key role in ensuring the continued safety of COVID-19 vaccines. Step 1. Ask the person if the person getting vaccinated has ever had a severe allergic reaction to a vaccine. If yes, refer the person to an allergy specialist or health provider who will recommend next step. Then step 2, you have to assess the person came for vaccination. Any health or medical conditions listed as precautions by the vaccine manufacturer or by your local immunization program. These conditions may include: first one, pregnancy, compromised immune system, severe frailty among older person. People with these conditions are eligible for vaccination, but should be offered information and counseling. Step 3. Communicate common side effects after vaccination, which indicate that a person's body is building protection to COVID-19. Common side effects include arm soreness, mild fever will be there, tiredness will be there, headache will be there, muscle or joint pain aches will be there. Then step 4, after assessing, ensuring everything okay, now you can vaccinate the person. After vaccinating, step 5th, you have to observe. We have to observe the vaccinated person for at least 15 minutes. Tell them how and where to report severe reactions. Observe people with a past vaccine allergy for 30 minutes after they have been approved by a specialist. And last sixth step, you have to inform your supervisor immediately of any unexpected or severe reaction during the observation period or reported later. Complete an electronic or paper adverse event following immunization, that is AEFI form, available online at investigation.gvsi-aesi-tools.org. Health official will then investigate the event. It's extremely rare for severe health reactions to be directly caused by vaccines, but reporting and investigating adverse event will ensure that COVID-19 vaccines continue to meet high safety standards. Now, some side effects already listed. So, we will see in details what are the side effects. As with all vaccines, WHO and regulatory authorities will continuously monitor the use of COVID-19 vaccines to confirm that they remain safe for all who receive them. Most reactions to vaccines are mild, go away within 1 or 2 days with their own. They include fever, fatigue, headache, muscle pain, chills, diarrhea, pain at the injection site, as already told. What is the link between COVID-19 vaccines and allergic reaction? Allergic reactions such as anaphylaxis is a potential but rare side effect with any vaccine. In persons with a known risk, such as previous experience of allergic reaction to a previous dose of the vaccine or any of the known components in the vaccine, precaution must need to be taken. Health care provider assess patient's medical history. It is possible that someone vaccinated against COVID-19 will still get infected. Is it possible? While several COVID-19 vaccines appear to have high level of efficacy, no vaccine is 100% protective. We have to consider person's age, their underlying health conditions, previous exposure to COVID-19 may have an impact on a vaccine's effectiveness. That is one reason why even as COVID-19 vaccines start to be rolled out, we must continue using all public health measures that work, such as physical distancing, mask and hand washing. Then we will see the key messages about COVID-19 vaccine. COVID-19 vaccine is a safe and effective and will be available in a phased manner. COVID-19 vaccine along with CAB are effective and protect individuals from COVID-19 infection. COVID appropriate behavior are to be strictly followed at all time even after vaccination. Pre-registration is must for eligible beneficiaries. Vaccine will not be given to the individuals who are not registered. Register on the CoWIN website for vaccine slot. Vaccine is safe, effective and will be available in phased manner. CAB are to be strictly followed at all times even after vaccination. Pre-registration is a must for the eligible beneficiaries. Vaccine will be given only to the individuals who are registered for COVID-19 vaccination. Beneficiaries to carry photo identification to the vaccination session. Beneficiaries must wait at the session site for 30 minutes post vaccination to observe any AEFI, adverse effect following immunization. Beneficiaries will be reminded of the next COVID-19 vaccination session for the second dose through SMS. The vaccine will be provided free of cost in the government health facility. Now, if you are unwell, not feeling well, you should not attend a vaccine appointment if you are self-isolating or waiting for COVID-19 test or unsure if you are well or not. If you are unwell, it is time for you next appointment. It is better to wait until you have recovered to have your vaccine, but you should try to have it as soon as possible. If feeling unwell, get tested for COVID-19 at the nearest facility. Prescription is not required. If tested positive, self-isolate immediately and seek medical support. Then we will see why does a beneficiary need to register. Currently, as the vaccine is being made available in phased manner, it is important for the government to identify the groups as per the registration. Registration is mandatory for vaccination. Family members, relatives cannot get the vaccine in case the registered beneficiary is not able to take it due to travel or illness. What are the documents which a beneficiary can use for registration? Let us see: passport, driving license, PAN card, Manrega, job card, Aadhaar card, voter ID, smart card issued by the RGI under NPR, pension document with photograph, passbooks with photographs issued by bank or post office, or you can use health insurance smart card issued under the scheme of Ministry of Labour, service identity cards with photographs issued to employees by central state government, public sector undertakings, public limited companies, etc. Can a COVID-19 vaccine make me sick with COVID-19? Very important question, but answer is no. None of the authorized and recommended COVID-19 vaccines or COVID-19 vaccines currently in development contain the live virus that causes COVID-19. This means that COVID-19 vaccine cannot make you sick with COVID-19. You should avoid alcohol after taking the COVID-19 vaccine. Let us see. According to the experts, there is no evidence that alcohol reduces the effectiveness of vaccines. Then, will I test positive after the COVID vaccine? Vaccination will not make you look positive on PCR tests. This is because copies of the genetic material of the virus in this test indicate that you have been infected. Is the COVID-19 vaccine safe for a long time? Let us see the answer. Tucson Aris says that some are reluctant to get vaccinated with COVID-19 because they are worried about the potential for long-term health consequences. The CDC has said that the US official COVID-19 vaccines are less likely to cause any serious long-term health problems. COVID-19 was tested positive. What should you do? The test conducted and tested positive. Experts say the infected person who was vaccinated against COVID-19 did not have mild symptoms or no symptoms at all. Experts say that people who have been vaccinated against COVID-19 can be infected with the virus, but the chances are slim. They say the COVID-19 vaccine is highly effective in preventing coronavirus disease, which can lead to fewer hospitalizations and deaths. They also reduce the risk of spreading the virus. Then see next question. COVID-19 was tested and tested positive. What should you do? So, the risk of contracting COVID-19 is low but the experts say it could still happen. Yes, it will happen, but it will be unusual, said Dr. John Kerry, Dean of the Boston University School of Public Health. Sandro Gilia told the New York Times. What types of COVID-19 vaccines are being developed? How would they work? Let's have an idea. Scientists around the world are developing many potential vaccines for COVID-19. These vaccines are designed to teach the body's immune system to safely recognize and block the virus that causes COVID-19. Several different types of potential vaccines for COVID-19 are in development, including inactivated or weakened virus vaccine, which use a form of the virus that has been inactivated or weakened so it does not cause disease, but still generates an immune response. Another vaccine, protein-based vaccines, which use harmless fragments of proteins and protein cells that mimic the COVID-19 virus to safely generate an immune response. Another vaccine, viral vector vaccines, which use a safe virus that cannot cause disease, but serves as a platform to produce coronavirus proteins to generate an immune response. Then RNA and DNA vaccines, a cutting-edge approach that uses genetically engineered RNA or DNA to generate a protein that itself safely promotes an immune response. For more information about all COVID-19 vaccines in development, see this WHO publication, which is being updated regularly. Another question, can we stop taking precaution after being vaccinated? Let's see. Vaccination protects you from getting seriously ill and dying from COVID-19. For the first 14 days after getting the vaccination, you do not have significant levels of protection. Then it increases gradually. For a single dose vaccine, immunity will generally occur 2 weeks after vaccination. For 2-dose vaccines, both doses are needed to achieve the highest level of immunity possible. While a COVID-19 vaccine will protect you from serious illness and death, we are still learning about the extent to which it keeps you from being infected and passing the virus on to the others, that is transmission. The data that is emerging from countries is showing that the vaccines that are currently in use are protecting against severe disease and hospitalization. However, no vaccine is 100% effective and breakthrough infections are regrettable, but to be expected. Now see another question, can we stop taking precaution after being vaccinated? The current evidence shows that the vaccines provide some protection from infection and transmission, but that protection is less than that for serious illness and death. We are still learning about the variants of concern and whether the vaccine are as protective against these strains as the non-variant virus. For these reasons, and while many of these in the community may not yet be vaccinated, maintaining other prevention measures is important, especially in communities where SARS-CoV-2 circulation is significant. To help keep you and others safe, while efforts continue to reduce the viral transmission and ramp up vaccine coverage, you should continue to maintain at least 1 meter distance from others, cover a cough or sneeze in your elbow, clean your hands frequently and wear a mask, particularly in enclosed, crowded, poorly ventilated spaces. Always follow the guidance from local authorities based on the situation and risk where you live. Now, we will see the next question. Can have the second dose with a different vaccine than the first one? Clinical trials in some countries are looking at whether you can have a first dose from one vaccine and a second dose from another or different vaccine. There isn't enough data yet to recommend this type of combination. So, avoid it. Next question, can the COVID-19 vaccine cause a positive test result for the disease such as for a PCR or antigen test? No. The COVID-19 vaccine will not cause a positive test result for a COVID-19 PCR or antigen laboratory test. This is because the test checks for active disease and not whether an individual is immune or not. Okay? However, because the COVID-19 vaccine prompts an immune response, it may be possible to test positive in an antibody test that measures COVID-19 immunity in an individual. Next question, should I be vaccinated if I had COVID-19? Even if you have already had COVID-19, you should be vaccinated when it is offered to you. The protection that someone gains from having COVID-19 will vary from person to person, and we also do not know how long natural immunity might last. So, another question, is the vaccine safe for children? It is a very big question. Vaccines are usually tested in an adults first and only later assessed in children. When safety has been proven in adults, because children are still developing and growing. COVID-19 has also been a more serious and dangerous disease among older people. Now that the vaccine have been determined to be safe for adults, they are being studied in children. WHO Strategic Advisory Group of experts has concluded that Pfizer BioNTech vaccines is suitable for the use by people aged 12 years and above. Children aged between 12 and 15 who are at higher risk of severe COVID-19 may be offered this vaccine alongside other priority groups for the vaccination. Vaccine trials for children are ongoing, and WHO will update the recommendations when the evidence or epidemiologic situation justifies a change in policy. Then, is the vaccine safe for children? While the supply of vaccine is limited, the ongoing priority is to vaccinate those most at risk of serious illness who still have not been vaccinated in many parts of the world. Older people, those with chronic health conditions and healthcare workers. Most children are at low risk of serious disease, and vaccinating them is primarily about reducing the transmission, which can also be achieved through public health measures including physically distancing from others, cleaning hands frequently, seizing or cuffing into their elbow, wearing mask if age appropriate, and avoiding crowded, poorly ventilated spaces. Next question, do the vaccine protect against variants? More studies are needed to assess the effectiveness of the current COVID vaccines against the variants. A growing body of data suggests that most vaccines stimulate enough immunity to retain substantial efficacy against most variants, especially for severe disease, hospitalization and death. The impact of the variants on efficacy against mild disease and against infection without disease is more impacted than for the more severe outcomes. The reason vaccines substantially retain protection against diseases is likely related to the broad immune response they induce, which means that virus changes or mutation are unlikely to make vaccines completely ineffective. If any of these vaccines become less effective against one or more variants, it will likely be possible to change the composition of the vaccines to protect against these variants. However, this will take time and additional data fully evaluate. Do the vaccines protect against variants? Data continues to be collected and analyzed on new variants of the COVID-19 virus. WHO will update its guidance when more details are known about the impact of specific variants on specific vaccine. WHO says is reviving this evidence on regular basis. While we are planning more, we need to do everything possible to stop the spread of the virus in order to prevent mutation, and that may reduce the performance of existing vaccines. This means staying at least 1 meter away from others, covering a cough or sneezing in your elbow, frequently cleaning your hands, wearing a mask, avoiding crowded, poorly ventilated rooms or opening a window. Let us see another important question. Does the vaccine cause different side effects in men and women? Does age have an impact? Let us see the answer. The effect of the COVID-19 vaccine varies from person to person, like it does for the most vaccines. As more people get vaccinated, you may be able to determine patterns. This information continues to be collected and will be shared, but for now, we cannot anticipate who may have side effects. Another question, does having side effects mean that the vaccine is working? What does having no side effects mean? So, it is a frequently asked question after vaccination or before vaccination. The vaccine stimulates your immune system to protect you from the virus. This process can sometimes cause side effects like fever, chills or headache, but not everyone experiences this. The presence of or magnitude of the reaction you may have vaccination does not predict or reflect your immune response to the vaccine. You do not have to have side effects in order to be protected. Another question, should we eat or drink differently the day or two after getting vaccinated? The effectiveness of the vaccine is not dependent on any food or drink before or after taking the vaccine. Next, will COVID-19 vaccine provide long-term protection? Because COVID-19 vaccines have only been developed in the past months, it is too early to know the duration of protection of COVID-19 vaccines. Research is ongoing to answer this question. However, it is encouraging that available data suggests that most of the people who recover from COVID-19 develop an immune response that provides at least some period of protection against reinfection. Although we are still learning how strong this protection is and how long it lasts. Let us see another question. After I get a COVID-19 vaccine, is it safe to visit in person with friends and family? Answer is from Daniel C. DeSimone. After getting a coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19 vaccine, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention CDC recommends that it is okay for fully vaccinated people to return to doing activities that they might not have been able to do because of the pandemic. This includes not wearing a mask or social distancing in any setting except where required by a rule or law. As a result, after you are fully vaccinated, you can safely visit in person with friends and family. Another question, after I get a COVID-19 vaccine, is it safe to visit in person with friends and family? People are considered fully vaccinated 2 weeks after they get their second dose of an mRNA vaccine such as Pfizer, Biotech or Moderna, or 2 weeks after a single dose of Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The only exception concerns fully vaccinated people who have an underlying medical conditions or are taking medications that weaken the immune system. If you fit this description, talk to your doctor about your activities. He or she might recommend that you continue to take extra steps to prevent getting COVID-19. Another question, do the COVID-19 vaccine protect against the COVID-19 variants? The COVID-19 vaccines were developed based on S protein before it contained the mutation identified in the variants. While research suggests that COVID-19 vaccines have lower efficacy against the variants, the vaccines still appear to provide protection against severe COVID-19. Further research is needed. In addition, vaccine manufacturers are also creating boosters shots to improve protection against variants. What are the symptoms of blood clotting reaction to the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine? Serious side effects of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccines can occur within 3 weeks of vaccination and require emergency care. Possible symptoms includes shortness of breath, persistent stomach pain, severe or persistent headache, blurred vision, chest pain, leg swelling, easy bruising or tiny red spots on the skin beyond the injection site. Mild to moderate headaches, muscle aches are common in the first 3 days after vaccination and don't require emergency care. Can a COVID-19 vaccine give you a COVID-19? No. The COVID-19 vaccines currently being developed in US don't use the live virus that causes COVID-19. Keep in mind that it will take few weeks for your body to build immunity after getting a COVID-19 vaccination. As a result, it is possible that you could become infected with the virus that causes COVID-19 just before or after being vaccinated. Another question, what are the signs of allergic reaction to a COVID-19 vaccines? You might be having an allergic reaction to a COVID-19 vaccine if you experience these signs within 4 hours of your first vaccine dose. For example, continuous shortness of breath or wheezing, swelling of the lips, eyes, tongue, redness, swelling and itchiness in areas of body other than the limb in which the vaccine was given. If you have signs of an allergic reaction, get help right away. Tell your doctor about your reaction. Even if it went away on its own, you didn't get emergency care or you didn't get emergency care. This reaction might mean you are allergic to the vaccine. You might not be able to get a second dose of the same vaccine. However, you might be able to get a different vaccine for your second dose. Is it okay to take an over the counter pain medication before or after getting a COVID-19 vaccine? Very important question. It is recommended that you take a pain medication, that is painkiller, before getting a COVID-19 vaccine to prevent the possible discomfort. It is not clear how this medication might impact the effectiveness of the vaccine. However, it is okay to take this kind of medication after getting a COVID-19 vaccine as long as you have no other medical reason that would prevent you from taking it. Another question, can I get COVID-19 vaccine if I have a history of allergic reaction? If you have a history of allergic reactions not related to vaccines or injectable medications, you may still get a COVID-19 vaccine. You should be monitored for 30 minutes after getting the vaccine. If you have had an immediate allergic reactions to other vaccines or injectable medications, ask your doctor if you should get a COVID-19 vaccine. If you have ever had an immediate or severe allergic reaction to any ingredients in a COVID-19 vaccine, the CDC recommends that not getting that specific vaccine. If you have an immediate or severe allergic reaction after getting the first dose of vaccine, COVID-19 vaccine, don't get the second dose. However, you might be able to get a different vaccine for your second dose. Another question, can I get a COVID-19 vaccine if I have an existing health conditions? Yes, definitely. If you have an existing health conditions, you can get a COVID-19 vaccine as long as you haven't had an allergic reaction to a COVID-19 vaccine or any of its ingredient. But there is limited information about the safety of COVID-19 vaccines in people who have weakened immune systems or autoimmune conditions. Then another important question, can pregnant or breastfeeding women get the COVID-19 vaccine? If you are pregnant or breastfeeding, you may choose to get COVID-19 vaccine. While further research is needed, early findings suggest that getting an mRNA COVID-19 vaccine during pregnancy poses no serious risk. These findings are based on data from the CDC's coronavirus vaccine safety monitoring system. If you have concerns, talk to your healthcare provider about the risks and benefits. Keep in mind that the mRNA COVID-19 vaccines do not alter your DNA or causes genetic changes. If there anyone who should not get COVID-19 vaccine, there is no COVID-19 vaccine yet for children under the age 12. Clinical trials involving younger children are in progress. Should I get COVID-19 vaccine even if I have already had COVID-19? That question already discussed. Getting COVID-19 might offer some natural protection or immunity from reinfection with the virus that causes COVID-19. But it is not clear how long this protection lasts, because reinfection is possible and COVID-19 can cause severe medical complication. It is recommended that people who have already had COVID-19 get a COVID-19 vaccine. If you were treated for COVID-19 with monoclonal antibodies or convalescent plasma, wait 90 days before getting a COVID-19 vaccine. Then, can I stop taking safety precaution after getting COVID-19 vaccine? You are considered fully vaccinated 2 weeks after you get a second dose of mRNA COVID-19 vaccine, or 2 weeks after you get a single dose of Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. After you are fully vaccinated, you can return to doing activities that you might not have been able to do because of the pandemic. You can also stop wearing a mask, social distancing in any setting except where required by rules or law. However, you will still be required to wear a mask on planes, buses, trains and other public transportation traveling to within or out of the country, whatever it may, as well as in places such as airports, train. Same question, I am practicing social distancing, wearing mask when in public and washing hands often. How susceptible am I to infection with the virus that causes COVID-19 even though I have taken these precautions? This happens when very small virus particles linger in the air for minutes or hours, potentially infecting others who are in the same area, even if the infected person is far away or has left the space. The virus can also spread from infected people to surfaces they touch, but this is less common than person to person transmission. Experts do not have all of these answers about COVID-19 yet, but here is what is known so far about the risk of getting COVID-19 virus from common surfaces and situation if you are not vaccinated. We will see a few facts or myths.
There are a lot of rumors and myths around vaccines and COVID-19. In Science in 5 today, we'll try to explain the science and facts related to these rumors. Welcome to Science in 5. I'm Vismita Gupta-Smith and this is WHO's Conversations in Science. Answering your questions today is Dr. Catherine O'Brien. Welcome, Kate.
Thanks so much. Pleased to be with you today.
Kate, one of the rumors that we hear a lot is about infertility and vaccines. What is the science behind that?
The vaccines we give cannot cause for infertility. This is a rumor that has gone around about many different vaccines, and there's no truth to the rumor. There's no vaccine that causes infertility.
Kate, another rumor is about the vaccine somehow changing the DNA. What is the science and facts about that?
Yeah, we've heard this rumor a lot. We have two vaccines now that are referred to as mRNA vaccines. There's no way that mRNA can turn into DNA, and there's no way that mRNA can change the DNA of our human cells. What mRNA is, it's the instructions to the body to make a protein. Most vaccines are developed by actually giving a protein or giving a small, tiny component of the germ that we're trying to vaccinate against. And this is a new approach where instead of giving that tiny little part, instead we just give the instructions to our own bodies to make that tiny little part, and then our natural immune system responds to it.
Kate, another persistent rumor about vaccines is about their composition, the chemicals in them harming the person who gets the vaccine. Can you please explain the science and the evidence behind this rumor?
This is a myth. The vaccines that we have are safe vaccines. All the components that go into vaccines are heavily tested to be sure that everything that is in there, at the dose that is in there, is safe for humans. The vaccines do contain a number of different elements, and each of them is tested before they're ever given to a human. They're tested in animals, and they're tested for any kind of problem in the animal. And only then do they go into humans, where we test in clinical trials with tens of thousands of people receiving the vaccines eventually before they're authorized for use in the general public. And safety is the most important part of those clinical trials. Every single vaccine goes through a safety evaluation to be sure that it's safe before it's used in the general public. In addition to that, the manufacturing of the vaccines has a constant oversight of quality so that every single ingredient that goes into the vaccine is assured to be of the highest quality and safe for use in humans.
Thank you, Kate. That was Dr. Catherine O'Brien. If you have more questions about the vaccines, about COVID-19, please put them on our timelines on various social media channels, and we'll do our best to get to them in the next few episodes. Until next time, then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stick with science.
Myth first, there weren't enough clinical trial participants to declare the vaccine is safe. Fact is, this is false. The authorized COVID-19 vaccines enrolled tens of thousands of participants. They were followed for 2 months after receiving the second dose, which is common with vaccine trials. Another myth, I only need 1 dose of the vaccine to be protected against COVID-19. Fact is, there isn't enough data to support changing the COVID-19 vaccine dosing recommendations. While the COVID-19 vaccine developed with the adenovirus platform is given in 1 dose, you should get 2 doses of mRNA vaccines to achieve best level of the immunity and protection. Another myth, the COVID-19 vaccine is unsafe because it was developed so quickly. Fact is, the authorized vaccines are proven safe and effective. Although they were developed in record time, they have gone through the same rigorous Food and Drug Administration process and other vaccines, meeting all safety standards. No step were skipped. The clinical trials and safety reviews actually took about the same amount of time as other vaccines. Another myth, the COVID-19 vaccine causes infertility in women. No doubt, misconception, misinformation on social media suggests the vaccine trains the body to attack syncytin-1, a protein in the placenta which could lead to infertility in women. The truth is, there is an amino acid sequence shared between the spike protein and the placental protein. However, the expert says it is too short to trigger an immune response and therefore doesn't affect fertility. Another myth, the COVID-19 vaccine will alter my DNA. The first vaccine granted emergency use authorization contained messenger RNA, mRNA, which instructs cells to make the spike proteins found on new coronavirus. When the immune system recognizes this protein, it builds up an immune response by creating antibodies, teaching the body how to protect against future infection. mRNA never enters the nucleus of the cell, which is where our DNA material is kept. The body gets rid of mRNA soon after it finished using the instruction. Another myth, the COVID-19 vaccine has severe side effects such as allergic reactions. Fact is, some participants in the vaccine clinical trials did report side effects similar to those experienced with other vaccines, including muscle pain, chills, and headache. And although extremely rare, people can have severe allergic reaction to ingredients used in a vaccine. That is, severe allergic reactions such as anaphylaxis to the ingredients of the vaccine should not get vaccinated. Another myth, I have already been diagnosed with COVID-19, so I don't need to receive the vaccine. Fact is, if you have already had COVID-19, there is evidence that you can still benefit from the vaccine. At this time, experts don't know how long someone is protected from getting sick again after recovering from COVID-19. The immunity someone gains from having an infection called natural immunity varies from person to person. Some early evidence suggests that natural immunity may not last very long. Another myth, once I received the COVID-19 vaccine, I no longer need to wear a mask. Fact is, masking, hand washing, physical distancing remain necessary in public until a sufficient number of people are immune. Fully vaccinated people can meet with each other without wearing masks. I am not at risk of severe complication of COVID-19, so I don't need the vaccine. Fact is, regardless of your risk, you can still contract the infection and spread it to others. So it is important you get vaccinated. Once the vaccine is widely available, it is recommended that as many eligible adults as possible get the vaccine. It is not only to protect you, but your family and your community as well. Another myth, if I received COVID-19 vaccine, I am at greater risk to become sick from another illness. There is no evidence to suggest that getting the vaccine heightens your risk to become sick from another infection such as the flu. Okay? Another myth, I am not at risk for severe complication of COVID-19, so I don't need the vaccine. Fact is, regardless of your risk, you can still contract the infection and spread it to others. So it is important you get vaccinated. Once the vaccine is widely available, it is recommended that as many eligible adults as possible get the vaccine. It is not only to protect you, but your family and community as well. Another myth, once I receive the vaccine, I will test positive for COVID-19. Fact is, viral tests used to diagnose COVID-19 check samples from the respiratory system for the presence of the virus that causes COVID-19. Since there is no live virus in the vaccines will not affect your test result. It is possible to get infected with the virus before the vaccine has had time to fully protect your body. Another myth, certain blood types have less severe COVID-19 infections, so getting a vaccine isn't necessary. Fact is, research has shown that there is no reason to believe being a certain blood type will lead to increased severity of COVID-19. By choosing to get vaccinated, you are protecting not only yourself and your family, but your community as well. Another question, is it safe for me to get COVID-19 vaccine if I would like to have a baby one day? Yes, definitely. If you are trying to become a pregnant now or want to get pregnant in the future, you may get a COVID-19 vaccine when one is available to you. There is currently no evidence that COVID-19 vaccination causes any problem with pregnancy, including the development of placenta. In addition, there is no evidence that fertility problems are a side effect of any vaccine, including COVID-19 vaccines. Like all vaccines, scientists are studying COVID-19 vaccines carefully for the side effects now and will continue to study them for many years. Let's see benefits of getting COVID-19 vaccine. COVID-19 vaccination will help keep you from getting COVID-19. Once you are fully vaccinated, you can start doing more things that you have stopped doing because of the pandemic. For example, you can gather indoors without mask with the other people who are fully vaccinated. COVID-19 vaccination is a safer way to help build protection. COVID-19 vaccination will be an important tool to help stop the pandemic. COVID-19 vaccines are safe and effective. None of the COVID-19 vaccine can make you sick with COVID-19. No one gets vaccinated, the disease can spread easily. This dots photograph showing that when no one gets vaccinated, the disease can spread easily. When some people get vaccinated, the disease spreads a little slower. When most people get vaccination, disease can't spread. You can learn more about community immunity at the site vaccine.gov. These are the few references regarding few myths and facts COVID-19 vaccination. Information regarding COVID-19 vaccine, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare website, and COVID-19 vaccines related information, or WHO site. Thank you very much. I hope I have given sufficient information regarding the coronavirus, its causing the disease COVID-19, risk factors, complications, prevention, and highlighted vaccination for COVID-19. Hope all of you will be safe and happy. Thank you very much.